So let's talk about this inner fire that we have inside of us. You know, when we are born, well, it's kind of like when you go, let's say you go camping somewhere in the woods, and then you make a fire for yourself at nighttime. And then depending how much wood you throw in there, the fire will last for a certain amount of time, right? But eventually, if you don't keep feeding that fire, it starts to wane, it starts to die down, it starts to dim. And then all you're left with are these embers, these pieces of embers. They're still burning. It takes quite some time for them to like completely extinguish themselves, right? But the cool thing about the embers though is that all you need to get the ember back up to get that fire to reignite itself is like sometimes you just gotta blow a little bit of air into it and then throw some more, you know, fuel into it, and then you can start the whole thing all over again. So that's the easiest way, analogy that I can think of. Because when you're a child, it's like we are this fire, you know, that is always burning bright, burning strong, boundless, endless energy. But as we grow up and we start to develop, you know, our adult traits, our personality, all these values, ideas, and things that, you know, we are made to be, even though these values, ideas, morals, all these things, they are not a part of who you are. They are distractions. They are they are part of this illusionary world that we live in. This fake reality that keeps us in this perpetual state of trying to figure it out. What is it that we're missing? Why isn't, you know, you know how sometimes we have these moments in our lives where we we start feeling this thing inside us that is telling us there's something missing here. Something doesn't feel right. And that's what it is. It's because deep inside yourself, there's this part of you, this voice of reason that is telling you, this is not who you really are. But if you start learning how to reconnect this part of you that's always there, It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter how you choose to live your life. It doesn't matter what kind of path you take. It doesn't matter at all. This part of you cannot get rid of, because it's an integral part of you that you can't split yourself from it, because that's the part of you that knows what's best for you, what you're here to do, what you're supposed to do with your life. So it's like you have this ember left inside of you because the fire, you know, that you had when you were born, that energy, that purity, that unconditional love that you were when you were born, that never goes away. It kind of goes into this state of hibernation within itself because we suppress it. We ignore it most of our lives. We don't listen to it. We don't really pay attention to it because we're too distracted, too involved with all this fakery, right? All this Gaia world illusion, you know, whatever you want to call it. It's this construct that we create based on our perceptions or our assumptions, how things are supposed to be, how things are supposed to go. But because this ember, this fire, you know, it never dies, because it's a part of you that, you know, it doesn't matter what you do, it's always going to be there. So once you realize, once you reconnect, once you find your true path, once you start living your truth within yourself, this is how it is. You're like, wow. So this is what I'm supposed to do then. And it's like the speed at which that ember reignites itself, relits it, you know. It's pretty intense. We come to this world to experience ourselves in this way that otherwise we would never be able to know what it's like. Think of it as, you know, this divine part of ourselves that's perfect in every single way. There are no flaws. There is only goodness. There is only love, only warmth, only this boundless energy. So the way I look at it sometimes is, imagine God It's all knowing. It's everything. It's all of it and none of it at the same time. It's everywhere, right? So it kind of decides to, you know what, this is kind of boring. So it splits itself into this infinite multitude parts of itself, and then it just starts creating. It creates galaxies, solar systems, universes, universes within universes, multiverses, planets everywhere, with life teeming all over the place. And then it sends itself out to all of these places so it can experience all of it. It's kind of hard to explain this because everybody's gonna have a different perspective and see it a different way, right? But the way my intuition tells me it works, and the way to me it feels right, the way it is that by doing that, this is how God works. It's like it splits itself, and we are all a part of it, always, at all times. And then, in order for it to know what this physicality is, what real pain, suffering, joy, happiness, love, and all this different wide spectrum of emotions that we experience during our period here. So once that part of it is like retrieved, then it really truly knows how all of that is and how all of that works, because it experienced it in the flesh. I know it's very metaphysical, you know, out of the ordinary type of way of looking at things, but I think it's pretty straightforward, and the way that I put it, it's pretty simplistic for people to understand or try to, you know, figure it out. So as we light up this ember again, and the sparks start flying and the fire, you know, is lit again, then you start setting things in motion. And sometimes, you know, we have to get out of this rush mindset and have a little patience, because there is a time for everything in our lives. Sometimes we may think that we are ready for something, and we keep asking ourselves, why is this thing so why is this taking so long? Why isn't it happening yet? I'm putting in the work. I'm doing what I feel is right that I should be doing. I'm seeing the signs. There's all this synchronicity happening around me. And yet, I am not seeing anything. Where are the results? Be patient. Know that old saying, patience is a virtue. It's very true. Give it some time. They call it divine timing. It's the great plan, grand plan. We are putting to these scenarios throughout our lives, where sometimes things don't go the way we wanted it to go, the way we expected it to go. And then we're just like scratching our heads like, damn, I didn't expect that to turn out to be that way. Or why is it going this way? I had it all planned out. But that plan was not the real plan. That's why it didn't work out the way you wanted it to work out, or the way you expected to turn out to be. It doesn't matter what people believe, what they think. When it comes down to the universe has its own laws, its own cycles, its own rules. And if you don't align with those things on a personal level, most of the things that you do in your life, they're most likely not going to work out the way you thought it would, because you're not aligning yourself with the rules and regulations that the universe is expecting for you to align yourself with. You get what I'm saying? It's like, if you find the true path, and we get signs all the time, we get messages all the time. We got that little voice in the back of our heads a lot of times. You know how on the cartoons sometimes they have that, the little good guy in one corner, the bad guy in the other, on the other side, and they're like fighting each other for your attention. That's how it works. It's pretty cool actually, because most of the time we're not gonna be listening to the little angel dude over here, or over here, wherever they are, because it's always easier to listen to the little devil guy. He's always gonna give you the easy way out. The cop out. He's gonna turn on victim mode and put you down and tell you, no, 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 don't do this. Why do this when you could do that? But when we learn to listen to the voice of reason, it's like that light turns itself on. And you know you're doing things right. You know you're doing things the way you're supposed to be doing things. And that's pretty much it. There's no magic formula. It's not complicated at all. It's very simple. Very, basic. And I'm gonna leave it at that. Thank you.